The mystery behind our feelings has always been a mystery and a topic of debate that has fascinated many philosophers, psychologists, and religious people. I believe that, for everyone, the feelings of fear is one of the most important emotions, along with love, that an individual can experience during his life. The two emotions obviously can appear both together. Both of them are purely subjective emotions. It was interesting to analyze the thought of Jung, who was a Swiss psychiatrist, psychoanalyst, and philosopher, where for him, the thought of fear is connected to the archetype, a name used to describe the primitive model of everything. In fact, for the philosopher, all of our minds will be interconnected. For example, the experience that a person has during his own life then go on to be reiterated in the lives of his successors. The fact that almost all the people are afraid of the dark is because probably our ancestors were also afraid of the dark, and the fear is reiterated in our minds, creating blueprints that remain during the creation of new generations. Therefore, it also explains the fact that often the fear that rises in our lives are a result of a strong influence from our parents, grandparents, and other relatives. The Italian philosopher Galimberti, on the other hand, describes fear as an excellent and main mechanism of self-defense that a man or animal adopts in everyday situation of danger, without which we will not be able to survive. However, for me, the feeling of fear has always been something that has denied me at some point in my life to perform or accomplish what I wanted to. Growing up in a foreign country, it is not easy. Because of my eyes, I was discriminated, and I was also discriminated because of the color of my skin. I believe my life began with an outgoing nature, or at least that is how I was described by my parents. Yet, I grew up introverted. In the development of fears, or even phobias, whether they are personal or collective, many factors come into play where the ability to adapt to many situations becomes essential in order to survive in a particular society. The birth of a fear, in addition to being the result of a trauma or a bad personal experience, could also be a result of an influence from the society in which we live. Terror, anxiety, and fear are also excellent tools of mind control that governments can use to control their own population. During electoral campaigns, they can also become excellent instruments of propaganda and consensus towards a specific subject and party. In Italy, an example can be found in the 2018 electoral campaign, where Salvini, embracing a new xenophobic line, obtained a great consensus from the Italians, bringing his party to be the third most voted in Italy, arriving also to be elected Senator of the Republic. Terror propaganda is also extremely common during times of war. During the Second World War, Hitler had the foresight to identify the causes of the strong German crisis and to transform them into excellent sources of terror and hatred. Themes of Nazi propaganda dwelt mainly on the humiliation suffered by the Treaty of Versailles and the wickedness of the Jewish world. That then led to one of the biggest massacres that we all know. The terror and the worries that come with a conflict and a war are now well known to us, especially in this period of great tension between Russia and Ukraine, and where unfortunately they are also a great source of propaganda, both domestic and international. According to the estimates of the British newspaper BBC, Zelensky, the Ukraine president, will have reached 90% support from his own population, tripling the figure that had touched bottom in December 2021. We find the same situation in the Russian counterpart, where Putin, despite what happened, still has a large part of the support from the Russian population. we are living history, because beyond the war, we are currently still living one of the most important pandemics that the world has ever faced in its life. Aided by the development of transportation, it has now infected every single country. And while we continue to wonder if this will one day end, the anguish of contracting COVID and the use of masks now seems to have become commonplace. I remind you that feeling fear is a very normal reaction. And I'm sure that each one of us has something or has had something to fear during his life. However, a person who lives in fear could suffer serious consequences both physically and mentally. It can also lead someone to serious consequences such as depression and death. Living in fear is not living. If you find yourself in a difficult situation, do not hesitate to ask for help, because I'm sure someone will be able to help you out. Without getting into political fields, I would like to conclude this graduation speech of mine by making a plea for peace. It is true that we are all different, but at the end of the day, we are all human beings. I really hope that one day we can achieve world peace. Thank you.